Chapter 156. Yudir had never regarded minor pain as actual suffering, but this sensation was entirely different. Despite his mind casually dismissing it, his instincts were helpless and terrified in the face of the impending upheaval. Who could possibly comprehend this horrifying sensation? Being an awakener did not necessarily mean one would undergo second gender manifestation. Furthermore, those who did experience the second gender manifestation didn't all manifest in the same way. Typically, signs of upcoming changes would manifest as persistent low-grade fevers or pain over a few days, followed by a slow transformation while being sick for nearly a week. However, there were individuals who unpredictably spewed out all the pain in a single moment, undergoing a subtle change. There was one such unfortunate case. The onset of the first in-heat period after manifestation varied as well. Some would not experience their first in-heat period for a long time after the second gender manifestation, while others would enter their in-heat period immediately after. The cause of this variance remained unknown despite research from previous lives. The only known fact was that those who awakened their power and experienced second gender manifestation simultaneously underwent the transformation with the least amount of pain. The body that he was familiar with and had been living in spewed out heat in an instant, contorting and changing fundamentally. Though the exterior appeared the same as before, inside it had become an entirely new body. That was all Yudir knew about the second gender manifestation. I was better prepared this time around, but why does the manifestation always begin at these unpredictable moments, before and now? If possible, he would prefer not to experience the manifestation this time. Ever since his second gender manifestation, he hadn't been able to find a single good thing that had come from it. Will I emerge as an Omega again this time? He could guess that he probably would, but it was unknowable. Having returned to the past, many things had changed, including his body, which had become entirely unpredictable. It felt like it would have been easier to face endless enemies or giant monsters alone. Yudir buried his heavy head in his knees. Even the soft touch of the ceremonial robe that draped his body began to feel like prickly thorns, but he had to endure somehow. His gradually numbing consciousness began to drift in an ocean of unrecognizable memories within the endless moment of patience. At that moment, Gakane Bulanward was walking in a garden with a tired face, leaving the party hall, a spectacle of extravagant carriages lined up in clear view. Even before the party had properly begun, the second son of Apeto had died, so he had to deal with fewer people than he had prepared for. However, there were all countless nobles who threw veiled insults at him. Despite being indifferent to anyone's death, he felt disgusted having to smile and fend off those who boldly and oppressively showed interest in the handsome young man. You really are handsome. A cavalry, you say? Wouldn't it be better for you to join our family rather than staying there? If you are interested, contact me. I'll help you so you don't feel lonely. Bulanward, isn't it? Ah, I know. A famous old family from the south, isn't it? You must have had a hard time coming here. Isn't it tough to deal with commoners? It was somehow tolerable when they were openly interested in his youth or appearance. However, those who drained Gakane the most were those who knew of his family's downfall and mocked him subtly. After Lenore's death, He expected Kishi to depart immediately, but for some reason he kept the cavalry lingering in the party hall. Unable to bear it any longer, Gakane stepped outside, yet thinking about returning made his shoulders feel heavy. Where could Yidr have gone? He's been out of sight for a while now. Perhaps it was harder without Yidr, who, by his mere presence, used to be a solid wall, providing a breather for the members. As he walked, lost in thoughts, Gakane noticed a man wandering around restlessly near, not far away. Judging by the emblem of his clothes, he seemed to be from the Apeto family. "Hey, why are you wandering around here?" Approaching the man with a skeptical mind, the man jumped back in surprise as if startled. His gaze scanned over Gakane's white formal attire and the emblem signifying his membership in the cavalry. Cavalry? That's right. Upon responding with a suspicious expression, the man abruptly stood up, gripping Gakane's arm. His eyes, reddened and soaked with sweat, glimpsed a desperate frenzy. "Cavalry, please save me. Isn't the third prince there right now? Please take me to meet him. I beg you." "What are you doing? Who are you to act this way?" "I'm a servant of the second prince, Lenore." It was only then that the servant, who had been nervously looking around, revealed his identity. A servant of the dead second prince. Gakane felt an odd premonition and decided to listen to the man's story. "It would be difficult to assist you if you do not explain why you want to meet Prince Revlin. Please tell me first." "Our prince, he came here today to meet someone. He had a message for me before coming here, saying that if he cannot return, I should deliver a letter to the third prince. I didn't think much of it then, but now that things have turned out this way..." The servant thought that perhaps Lenore had foreseen his situation after hearing the news of his death from poison. Of course, Lenore himself might not have imagined that he could end up like this. He was merely preparing for the worst case scenario after his meeting with the crown prince. But the dead could not provide answers. There was only flogging and death waiting for a servant returning to the main house after the death of his master. The only way left for him to live was to find Revlin and deliver Lenore's letter. But with just a servant's body, how could he find Revlin hidden deep inside the cavalry? His mind went blank. Unable to maintain calm upon hearing the explanation from the man who had appeared before him, Gakane, who had run out of the party hall and was aimlessly wandering around, opened his mouth and blinked his eyes in surprise. "This is an unexpected turn of events. Did you know who Prince Lenore came to meet?" I don't know. When the attendants came and asked a similar question earlier, I gave them the same answer." "Attendants? Whose attendants are you talking about?" "Well, it was those with red belts around their waist." For a moment, the image of Prince Kashtan's attendants, who each wearing the red belts around their waist, flashed through Gakane's mind like lightning. The crown prince attendants sought out the servant to ask him, "No, it may be truth that the poison that Lenore drank was originally intended for crown prince. That's possible, but still a bit. It was strange. Lenore only accidentally took the poison. So, was there any need to send the crown prince direct attendants to question Lenore's servant? Even if they were cautious, they could have asked the palace guards who had already begun their investigation." Gakane opened his mouth, feeling a strange premonition that a key is resolving this matter might be right in front of him now. "Did you also tell them about the letter?" "No, nobody asked about it. and I didn't think to mention it either. You did well. Pardon? Gakane extended his hand towards the confused servant. Hand me the letter now. I will take responsibility and tell the commander right away, and that I will send you and the letter safely to the cavalry headquarters. Looking at the handsome young man's face, full of integrity and confidence, unlike his master, who always scowled, the servant seemed momentarily lost for words. If he couldn't trust such a person, then who could he trust? Ah, understood. Looking at the handsome young man's face, taking full advantage of his appearance, which he admittedly disliked, Gakane easily acquired Lenore's letter. He sent the servant on his way to the cavalry carriage and told him to hide there, then immediately made his way towards the banquet hall. At the entrance of the banquet hall, there was a man seemingly out of breath, as if he had just rushed there, presenting his identification. I told you I got lost. Why do you always have to check these things? The man's sharp voice and face seemed familiar to Gakane. It was Keol the Diarca, the son of Diarca, who had previously gotten into numerous quarrels with Yther and had been promptly thrown out. Gakane frowned and quickly turned his body towards another entrance, hoping to avoid Keol's attention. However, as he passed by at a distance, Gakane abruptly halted, having caught a whiff of an odd scent. A scent? Could you call it a scent? It was something similar, but so potent it made his skin tingle. An invisible something was emanating from Keol, and Gakane had smelled something similar before. From the in-heat awakeness of the Apeto family that was recently rescued by cavalry in Jimmy's quarters after he had manifested his second gender and had been bedridden for several days, and from many of his colleagues in the cavalry who had passed him by in a state nearing heat. But he's definitely not an awakener, right? While watching Keol, who was now entering the banquet hall, Gakane caught sight of a man who had turned his head exactly in his direction where the imperial family was gathered. Kishir Laor stood up, asking for the people around him to excuse him. For the first time, Gakane saw the ever-smiling commander's face turn serious, the smile fading away. Upon seeing his face, Gakane felt a chill run down his spine for no apparent reason. It wasn't just him. He noticed several cavalry members holding their breath and stared at the same spot. It didn't take long for Gakane to realize they had all manifested their second gender.